Hello, it's your friendly neighbourhood maths teacher here giving you a quick maths lesson on ratio. What we're going to talk about today is how to share numbers into a ratio, and this is for my students who are doing functional skills maths, but this does also come up in GCSE, so everyone can enjoy this. So first thing we want to think about, what actually is ratio? What is it talking about? What does it describe? And the answer is this. Ratio describes a relationship between two quantities, between two things that we can represent as numbers. Okay, you can see the word ratio in the word relationship because I've made it bold and red for you there. So we can think about seeing ratio in real life whenever we mix drinks together. I'm talking about mixing fruit squash with water, obviously. If you want to have 1 part squash with maybe 5 parts water, or some people would have 1 part squash to 1 part water if they're a maniac, something like that. You are mixing together two things. If you are at a nursery, if you're running a nursery, you would need to have 1 member of staff to every 5 children, perhaps, something like that. It's to do with the relationship between those two quantities. What we have to do in maths, we have to share numbers in a ratio, and you get questions that look like this. Split or share 55 into the ratio 6:5. And what this means is I have 55 things, say I have 55 cookies, and I'm going to give them to 2 different people. For every 6 that I give to one person, I'm going to give 5 to the other person, okay? Because I don't like them as much, I guess. The way we solve this is by using my method, Horatio the ratio spider. We draw a nice big circle, nice and clear, and we put 55 in the middle. That's the thing we're sharing. And then we give him legs according to these numbers. So it's the ratio 6:5, and we keep the 6 on the left, the 5 on the right. That's very important. We're going to give him 6 legs on the left that look like this, and then we're going to give him 5 legs on the right. Okay, so we're sharing 55 in the ratio 6:5. That's how we lay out our diagram. What we then have to think about is a division. Okay, 55 divided equally among all these legs. How many legs does he have in total? 6 plus 5, he's got 11 legs in total. So 55 divided among these 11 legs, in other words, 55 divided by 11, which is what? It is 5. So we put 5 at the end of each leg. Okay, the rule of Horatio is this. Whatever goes at the end of one leg has to go at the end of all of them. So we can fill out the whole diagram using 5s at the ends of these legs. The only thing we have left to do, add up the totals on each side. What's the total on the left? 6 lots of 5. It's 30. What's the total on the right? 5 lots of 5? 25. And those are the answers to my question, okay? Split 55 into the ratio 6:5, 30 and 25. How can we check that this works? How can we check that we've done this properly? These two should add up to 55, our number in the middle, okay? We were sharing cookies, I think, in this question, so no cookies should have gone missing during the making of this question. We should have them all again at the end. They've just gone to 2 different places, okay? We move on to questions that look like this. Now, something's changed in this question. We've got names, first of all. We've got some words in there. So Lee and Tony are sharing counters in the ratio 5:9. First thing here, who's getting the 5 part and who's getting the 9 part? What's the answer? The answer is Lee gets the 5 and Tony gets the 9. The reason for this is Lee was named first. So Lee and Tony, 5:9. Lee gets the 5, Tony gets the 9. When you're laying this out, it can help to label it just to make sure you don't make any mistakes with that. So if Tony gets 81, how many does Lee get? So what's changed with the information they've given you here? The answer is they haven't told us what they're sharing to begin with. We don't know how many counters were shared out. We only know how many Tony got at the end. We're still going to use the same diagram, but the information goes in a slightly different place. So we draw Horatio, the ratio spider. We don't know what goes in the middle. We don't know that yet, but we do know he's got 5 legs on the left and he's going to have 9 legs on the right because it's a ratio of 5:9. What is the only other piece of information they've given us in this question? And the answer to that is that Tony gets 81. Which side is Tony? Is he left or right? He's on the right. Lee and Tony. Tony gets 81, so we know that this total here is going to add up to 81. So 81 is the total of these 9 legs. So these 9 things add up to 81. 9 lots of something makes 81. 81 divided by 9 gives us 9. 9 is going to go onto each leg, okay? The rule of Horatio, 9 has to go on these legs as well. What's the total on the left? 5 lots of 9, what is it? 45. Okay, if we were then asked, we're not in this question, but if they had asked us how many did they share originally, 45 plus 81, add those together very quick, what do we get? 126. 126 counters were shared originally, okay? But it's very important that we focus on what actually is the answer to the question they're asking us, which was how many does Lee get? And the answer is here, 45, okay? We're gonna move on to, again, a slightly more complicated question, and that is this one here. Helen and Fahim share dice in the ratio 3 to 4. If Fahim gets 5 more, how many dice does Helen get? What else has changed about this question? So we don't know how many they're sharing. We don't know how many either of them have. We only know the difference between them. We're going to start the same way. We draw the diagram. We know that Helen is on the left with 3 legs. Fahim is on the right with 4 legs. Okay, the only other thing we know is that Fahim gets 5 more. Now the key to this is thinking about the diagram. If they had the same number of legs, they'd have the same number of dice. Yes, because 3 legs worth and 3 legs worth, they'd be the same. But they don't. He has 1 more leg and he has 5 more dice. Now because he has 1 more leg, that's where the difference between them has to be located, okay? If that wasn't there, it would be the same. But it is, so that's where all the extra must be. So that extra must be on that leg. He must have 5 there, which means all the legs have 5, okay? Because the difference between them is 5. He has 5 more and he has 1 more leg, so that 1 more leg has to have the 5. Looking at this, we can then work out how many dice does Helen get. 3 lots of 5 there, which adds up to what? The answer is 15, okay? 7 lots of 5 overall, they shared 35 dice originally. Okay, but the answer to our question would be the 15. How many dice does Helen get? She gets 15, so we're going to circle that there. Finally, we're going to look at an exam style question to make sure we've really understood that. So Jo works in a cafe. She sells cups of tea and cups of coffee in the ratio 1 to 3. So for every 1 cup of tea she sells 3 cups of coffee, because more people are buying coffee than tea in this example. On Monday, she sold a total of 244 cups of tea and coffee. So she sold 244 drinks that were either tea or coffee. She thinks that of these, more than 200 must have been coffee because of how much coffee she sells. So she sold 244. She knows that for every 1 cup of tea, she sells 3 cups of coffee. So she thinks probably sold at least 200 cups of coffee, but she hasn't done the maths. Is Jo correct? We're going to draw her ratio, the ratio spider. Okay? We know that she sold 244 cups overall, and we're sharing that in a 1 to 3 ratio. 1 part tea, 3 parts coffee. Okay? Divide this among total number of legs. How many legs in total? 4. 244 divided by 4. You can either use a calculator or you can half it and then half it again, and we get 61. 61 is going to go on each leg. Okay? What is the total on the left? It's just 61. What is the total on the right? 3 lots of 61, and that's going to give us 183. Okay, so it means she sold 61 cups of tea and 183 cups of coffee. She thinks she sold more than 200 cups of coffee. Is she correct? Is she correct? And the answer is no. And we have to remember to put no in the question because that is the answer to what they're asking us. No, she only sold 183. She's not correct. Okay? That has been our quick maths lesson on ratio. Have a go at some of the questions I've linked in the description down below to test out using that method. Have a go at some of those questions. Let me know if you have any questions.